Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation, it is the 17th of June, 2025. And as always, I'm holding the legacy mainstream media's feet to the fire because they lie, they propagandize, they twist. And you know what? You won't be twisted anymore. Yeah, and that doesn't just go for ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, and MSNBC. No. It also goes over there to Newsmax, OAN, Real America's Voice, News Nation, and all of the other conservative networks that are supposedly out there telling you 100% truth. No, they're not. They're holding back on you, folks. They really are. Anyway, I'm Dave vonKleist, and these are the WTF reports. As if we don't have enough reason to say WTF. Well, that's why I'm here, WTF, with the facts, the audio receipts. So you hear it directly from the horse's mouth. It's not me saying it, and I rely upon you, dear listener, to use your cognitive skills, utilize critical thinking, put the puzzle pieces together, connect the dots, do your own research, come to your own conclusions. I'm here to plant seeds. It's up to you to tend the garden. Anyway, this broadcast is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. If you haven't checked it out, you're doing yourself a tremendous disservice. Tesla told us that frequency is everything, and the more we look into that, the more we realize that is the truth. And Royal Raymond Rife, a tremendous, fantastic scientist back in the 20s and 30s, he figured out how to utilize sound frequencies to help people. Yeah, to destroy pathogens and also to help healthy cells stay healthy. And if you haven't checked it out, folks, you should check out the Rife machines. Now, there's a bunch of them out there, and but this one is a little bit different. It's a wristwatch that produces those frequencies that benefit your health. Now, I've been using it for a bunch of different things, and yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. But I'm telling you, my eyesight's getting better and better. I've been continually running an eye clarity program, and I can actually read the newspaper now, which I couldn't do a year ago. But anyway, yeah, check out the Wave Watch. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and hey, check out the Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. Anyway, that said, there are so many different issues on the table right now. Right off the bat, I want to ask you if you have a moral compass. And of course, you're saying, yes, I have a moral compass. Well, do we look at it? Do we pay attention to it? Do we listen to that inner voice that tells us what's right and what's wrong? Well, a lot of us do. And it's difficult at times. I mean, we're all sinners. Yeah, we're none of us is perfect. None of us is living a completely righteous life. We all have our vices and our weaknesses, etc., etc. But if we refer to our moral compass, some of us, I guess some people don't even have a moral compass. And this is now starting to be recognized. And it's called the awakening, or it's called the noticing. It's called the shift. Whatever is happening in this crazy world, people are starting to open up their eyes, and people are starting to recognize the fact that the moral compass is pointing in one direction, but the world is going in a completely different direction. Now, how does this happen? Whatever, what's the word I'm looking at? I don't want to say religious, because some people don't believe in religion. I don't believe in religion. I am very spiritual. I believe in God. But I don't believe in the world religions. And a lot of people feel the same way. And why is that? If we look back in history, we notice that, let's go back a couple thousand years, the New Testament, Jesus Christ or Yeshua Messiah, whichever way you want to go. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet, as they say. But the point is that, the Christian churches that have that sprung up all over the world in Christianity, how many of them have corrupted themselves? Think about it for a second. Some, a few, a bunch, a lot, all, none. It takes time for people to corrupt themselves. And I'm sorry, but I have no faith in the Catholic Church right now. I mean, all we have to do is look at what's been going on. And a lot of people say, wait a second, that's not for me. I mean, and I know I'm going to get a lot of Catholics all PO'd at me, and I'm sorry, but you know what I'm talking about. This whole thing with sex trafficking and pedophilia. And don't think it's exclusive to just the Christians out there or the Catholics. No, it's across the board. Okay, well, let's go back another couple of thousand years, the Old Testament, Judaism. How is it that every couple of thousand years, all of a sudden there's a great awakening, a major consciousness shift on this planet? And over a period of time, whatever religion or belief system that you may have, over a period of hundreds and hundreds of years, if not millennia, they all seem to corrupt themselves. It's happened to the Christian churches. It's happened to, the Jewish churches, the Pharisees. I mean, when Moses, came down with the 10 Commandments, he found that the people had already corrupted themselves and they were worshiping a golden calf, which represented the age of Taurus, which came before Aries. It just seems that every couple of thousand years, humanity gets to a point where they've completely corrupted themselves. And then all of a sudden, there's a great shift, a great awakening. Something happens. And all of a sudden, a whole new belief system emerges. Now, are we on the cusp of that happening again? I would tend to think that we are right now. All of our establishments, everything seems to be corrupted. Everything is upside down, topsy-turvy. And I think this is exactly what's happening. Now, of course, a lot of people are just, they go with the flow. They see what's going on, but they don't see the overall picture. And I don't know. I can't say that I see it. I know a lot of people think that they see it. I think I see it. But there is a great awakening going on, a consciousness shift, a noticing, if you will. And I think this is the process that we're going through right now. And it ain't easy. Because that means that all of the establishment belief systems, all of our infrastructure, if you will, it all has to change. I'm looking at our energy systems, for example. Just one, for example. We all know now that there are alternative energy systems that have been suppressed for well over a century. I mean, there's 0-point energy, there's magnet energy, there's frequency energy. I mean, all of these different technologies that have been suppressed for all of these years that could very well save humanity. But the powers that be, the structures that are in place right now, don't want that to happen because they like their perks. They like their power. They don't care about people or progress or prosperity. They don't know. They want their power. And I'm popping my P's on purpose. Maybe it's like an exclamation point. But I got to tell you, the corruption is just obscene. Just obscene. Now, yesterday, I was talking about Nancy Pelosi. And I want to turn the clock back about a year. And we all know about the January 6th issue, the insurrection or the non-surrection or whatever. And then there was the January 6th committee or the non-committee. And all the information that's coming about what happened with the insurrection, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I want to turn the clock back. And not Tucker Carlson, what's his name? Representative Barry Loudermilk. He was on Fox News, and he was talking about what happened on January 6th. And I want to go ahead and play this, let you give a listen. Come to your own conclusions. Again, I encourage you to think outside of the cage. Start putting the puzzle pieces together. Here's Representative Barry Loudermilk being interviewed on Fox, and this is about a year ago. We'll connect the dots in a minute.
Chairman of the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight. Chairman, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So your committee made the big news. Your committee released that video footage showing former Speaker Nancy Pelosi on tape admitting responsibility for not having the National Guard protect the Capitol building against the January 6 riots. What's the fallout of this? How will this impact the election?
Well, I'm not. I think it's probably will have some impact on the election. None of us know that, but our objective is to get to the truth of what really happened. And this was really groundbreaking information, because we know that the select committee, her partisan select committee, spent about $20 million just trying to put the blame on Trump. But in the heat of the moment, she admitted that it was really her responsibility, because we know that the chief of police, Chief Sund, had made numerous requests for the National Guard to come to the Capitol, but somewhere in leadership that was denied multiple times. And as we heard on this tape, which we just received on Friday from HBO, that she took full responsibility for being the one that the National Guard was not there to assist the Capitol Police.
Let's watch what Nancy Pelosi said.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing, when they've already breached the inaugural stuff, should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
No, that is not a question of how they had been. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
So here's the question. Should voters accept the January 6th committee report? The question is, you point out, HBO, why did HBO wait until now to turn over this never-aired footage? Why didn't Pelosi or Pelosi's daughter, who took the footage, turn it over to the January 6th committee? Because prosecutors have cited that committee's proceedings in cases against Trump and his supporters.
Right, and why didn't the select committee archive that video footage that they had and pass it on to our committee? I mean, we've got over 900 videos and documents that they did not archive that they should have. So we spent almost a year just trying to recreate all the information that they had received. And I can tell you, this is just a drop in the bucket of the misinformation that is in that select committee report. From the charges that the President, Trump, tried to take the steering wheel of the SUV. We have the driver of the SUV who testified that that never happened. But that transcribed interview was never given to the public. We have other Secret Service agents that say the other accusations they made never happened, and that was never released to the public. So what we have is a report from the Select Committee that evidence was cherry-picked to create a false narrative, and anything that was contrary to the narrative that they want, that Trump orchestrated this, Trump organized the attack, he was the reason, all of that information was hid from the public eye, and in some cases it appears that was destroyed.
Yeah, okay, so that's Representative Barry Loudermilk on Fox News about a year ago. And you heard Nancy Pelosi talking about what are we going to do? You know, I mean, she was admitting that she sort of screwed up on that. But the October 6th non-committee suppressed so much information. Now, staying on the same topic, there was, what was it? Steve Sund. Steve Sund, he was the chief of police in Washington, D.C. He was being interviewed by Tucker Carlson, because you heard Representative Loudermilk refer to Chief Sund. And here's what Chief Sund had to say about what happened on that fateful day. Listen up.
By federal law, Congress passed a law that requires me to go to the Sergeant Arms Capitol Police Board in advance of an event and to request federal resources such as the National Guard. So Congress passed a law. It's 2 U.S. Code 1970. Look it up. Just make sure you look it up before December 22 when they changed it. So what was in effect on the 6th, that requires me to go and get approval for bringing in National Guard or federal assistance in advance. I have to go to the Capitol Police Board and get approval from congressional leadership in advance, like I did on January 3rd. I'm denied twice because of optics and because the intelligence didn't support it. So think about that.
Let me ask you the question, who made that decision? Who denied you?
I was denied by Paul Irving, House Sergeant Arms, and also Mike Stenger, Senate Sergeant Arms.
And who do they work for?
It would have been working for Pelosi on the House side. That Pelosi was the number one boss, and then McConnell on the Senate side.
Ah. So effectively, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi shut down your request
My request was shut down, one, because of optics, which is interesting. You're going to hear that term come up a couple more times. Optics, or the look of the National Guard on the Hill. But yeah, in the Capitol Police Board, I mean, it's unbelievable that I'm the only chief of police in the United States that has a law preventing me, not just regulations, rules that say I got to go and get approval to bring in the National Guard, a law. So that's crazy that Congress is going to pass a law that controls what I can do to protect the Capitol, and even in emergency. So think of this. Even while we're under attack, I have to go to those same two people to request the National Guard to be brought in. I have 340 National Guard that have been activated. At least 150 to 180 of those are in the city, many of them within eyesight of the Capitol, okay? We get to come under attack at 12:53. 12:55, I called the Washington, D.C. Police Department. I talked to their Assistant Chief, Jeff Carroll. Thank God I had talked to him at 10:59 in the morning and asked him if he could possibly put some additional resource on Constitution Avenue. And he had some CDU platoons up there. Called him, said, hey, please send those in right away, because we knew as soon as they came to their west front, they started attacking, it was going to be bad. 12:58, I make my first call to the Sergeant Arms, asking, saying, hey, it's bad, we need assistance, I need a declaration of emergency, I need to bring in the military immediately and federal resources. I'm told by Paul Irving, quote, I'm going to run up the chain, I'll get back to you.
The chain is Pelosi.
The chain is chain would be up to Nancy Pelosi. He didn't have to do that, but he wouldn't give me authorization. The law says in emergency he can grant me authorization.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. You heard that. The chain goes up to the top, and the top is Nancy Pelosi.
But he didn't. He said he'd run up the chain. My next call was over to Mike Stinger. He's now the chairman of the Capitol Police Board. Yeah. Told him the same thing. We're getting our asses handed to us on the west front. I need federal resources. He said, what did Paul tell you? He said he's run up the chain. He goes, let's wait to hear what we hear from Paul. Sorry. So for the next 71 minutes, I make 32 calls. I'm in the command center. I'm calling my partner agencies. And by law, one of the first people to offer assistance was the United States Secret Service. And by law, I shouldn't have requested their assistance. I shouldn't be until I had approval. But I'm looking at my men and women having their asses handed to them. And my first thought was, I will take whatever discipline there is. Send me whatever you got. No, that's the one text Secret Service turned over. You know how they lost all their texts?
Yes.
It's the text between their Chief Sullivan and myself. Thank God for him.
But I don't. You make this call immediately to the House Sergeant at Arms, who reports Mr. Irving, who reports to Nancy Pelosi. He says, "I'll call Pelosi."
He says, "I'm running up the chain."
Running up the chain, but that is the chain.
I hear you. I got you. Yeah. I want to tell you exactly.
What happens then? Does he get back to you?
So for the next 71 minutes, I make the 32 calls to a number of agencies. 11 of those calls are follow-up calls. And look in the Senate combined report from 2001. They have a great infographic of the call after call after call after call. 11 times I call in the next 71 minutes going, where are we on the approval? Where are we in the approval? Just any minute now. Any minute. I'm going to get any minute. Finally at 2:09, 71 minutes later, 2:09, I'm finally given approval. Think about that. 71 minutes later, I immediately call Mike Stinger, say we've got approval. I was so pissed off, I made sure that the watch commander, I'm in the command center, I yelled to John Wisham, the lieutenant, that's my watch commander. I said, John, mark the time as 2:10. I finally got approval for the National Guard. I was that mad.
So what is I just want to pause on this for a minute. It's almost unbelievable. So this is an event that Pelosi herself has likened to Pearl Harbor and 9/11, the worst thing that's ever happened on American soil. Mm-hmm. And she's in charge of allowing the National Guard to come in and respond, but she doesn't for 71 minutes. What is that?
Yeah, what is that? What is that? Now, you've heard from Representative Louder. You've heard now from Chief Sund. Okay? And what did Nancy Pelosi say the other day? Listen to this.
In a bipartisan way, on January 6th, with violence against the Constitution, against the Congress, and against the United States Capitol, we beg the President of the United States to send in the National Guard.
Stop right there. What? What? Yeah. She continues.
He would not do it.
Oh, no, that's not true. Oh, my gosh.
Not only would he not do it, when law enforcement people were being harmed, some later died, he would not send it in when an instigation that an insurrection that he incited was causing damage. to those assigned to protect the Capitol.
Oh, my word. Oh, my gosh.
And the Constitution that day to accept the results of the Electoral College.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, this is, I'm not here to play partisan politics. I have no love of most of the Republicans either. Okay, so I'm not here to say, it's those Democrats, which I call globalists now. They've been completely taken over. The Democratic Party has got nothing to offer anybody anymore. And the Republican Party is basically turning their back on the American people because they're working for Israel. Simple as that. This country has turned into the United States of Israel. Now, it's not that I hate Jews. I don't hate Jews. As a matter of fact, there are many Jews in this country and in Israel that are absolutely appalled at what the regime over there, what Netanyahu and his cronies are doing, because they've wrapped themselves in the flag that represents the Jewish religion, and they're committing atrocities on an unbelievable level. They really are. And I wanted to point this out because it's not just Nancy Pelosi that's lying. It's so many others. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull this up here. Where is it? Okay, yeah, here it is. Get this straight. Now, right now we're on the edge. We are teetering on the edge of World War III. Now, a lot of people have been looking at Israel and saying, what the heck has been going on? Just incessant bombing of Israel, everything. Of the Gaza Strip, of Palestine. And it's like there's nothing left there. Nothing. However, Israel launched a missile into Iran to take out one of their high-profile individuals. And with such laser precision, they sent that drone right over there, right to his house, right to his bedroom. Listen to this. This girl makes some sense. Listen to this.
I just want to get this straight, okay? You're telling me that Israel has the capabilities of launching a missile from a drone thousands of miles away and directly targeting one of the leaders of the Islamic Republic in Iran through his bedroom wall and directly hitting him while he was sleeping in his bed. Their military equipment is so advanced that not only can they track where specific people are in real time, they can send drones from Israel to launch missiles at those people from thousands of miles away. But we are supposed to believe that in order for them to fight Hamas, they had to destroy virtually every single livable building in Gaza. They had to bomb every single hospital in Gaza at least once, if not multiple times. They had to bomb every school. They had to literally destroy every university, all of the buildings of the universities in Gaza in order to fight Hamas.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? How is it that they could have such precision to launch a missile into Iran, and yet they had to level the entire Gaza Strip, all of Palestine? Now, how is this related to Nancy Pelosi and the January 6th insurrection, et cetera, et cetera? Well, that's because in Trump's first term, he was really shaking things up. The powers that be, Israel and the Mossad. As a matter of fact, let's go back in time. When was the Mossad started? It was in the late 40s, wasn't it? What else happened in the late 40s? It was the creation of the CIA. What else happened in the late 40s? It was the creation of the State of Israel. Are there any connections there? I don't know. Could be. Maybe. But the point is that Trump came in his first administration, and he really shook things up. He wasn't supposed to win, if you recall. Yeah, Hillary was the shoo-in. But you see, the thing was that the NSA knew about the fix And they basically just switched it off. At least that's my opinion, based upon what I've seen over the past several years. But the point is, all of these issues are connected, all of them. And now we're right on the edge of going to war with Iran. Do you want to go to war? Do you want to send your sons and daughters and nieces and nephews? Do you want to go over there and start another and get involved in another war half on the other side of the flippin' planet? WTF? Seriously? All right, we'll get into that in a couple seconds. A quick pause for the cause here. Hit the wrong button. Here we go.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get More Tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Don't forget the word the, T-H-E. People say, I can't find your website. I went to WTF. No, you got to go to the, T-H-E, the WTF Reports. Visit the sponsors page and get More Tank. And again, if you go down there and click on their the website, they give you all the technical data, all of the information about what this product is and what it does for your car. And I noticed right away when I started using it, the first thing within the first tank, I noticed when I hit my gas, my car goes. And it starts up quicker. It runs cleaner. And after a tank or two, you'll notice that your mileage begins to increase. And depending upon your make, model, and year of your vehicle, you'll get anywhere between 15 and 20% better mileage. And if you do the math, that means that for every purchase, $20 gets you 5 tablets, and each tablet goes in your tank. One tablet per tank. That means if you're getting 20% better mileage, the 5th tank is free. Spend $20 and I save a tank of gas. It's a no-brainer, folks. It's a win-win. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, go to the sponsors page, and click on the Get More Tank, and you too will be saying, oh my gosh, WTF! It works! And by the way, if you use the promo code REDPILL101, you're going to save 10%. So get More Tank. All right, that said, I got a couple more issues I want to get to, but as always, I open up the phone lines. I want to hear what you have to say. So if you want to call in, be a participant on the show, now's the time. 215-867-8255. Again, that's 215-867-8255. Now, what I'm doing here, folks, I know I'm throwing a bunch of mud on the wall, but believe me, that all of these dots are connected. Everything is connected. And let me see, this was Colonel Lawrence Wilkinson, and he was talking about this on RT. There's a show called Going Underground, and he's talking about what happened with the Israeli Mossad. That's why I brought it up a couple of minutes ago. When did the Mossad come into existence? When did the CIA come into existence? When did the State of Israel come into existence? Right around the same time, late 40s. Well, as you regular listeners know, I was on the air when the 9/11 attacks happened. As a matter of fact, I produced 2 documentary films on the subject, and you can watch both of them if you go to my website, davevonKleist.com. And you'll find links there about the 9/11 videos that I produced when I was on the air. But Colonel Wilkerson, had this to say in regard to the Mossad and what happened right after the 9/11 attack. Listen to this.
And it's unquestionable that the Epstein business was heavily influenced, let me put it that way, by Mossad.
And so that's somehow emblematic on these huge geopolitical issues.
Yes, I watched Mossad take over the Pentagon. In 2002,
What?
The Pentagon was infiltrated by Mossad. They did not need any identification to get through the river entrance to the building. They went upstairs to Douglas Feith, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, the third most powerful man in the Defense Department. Occasionally, they went to the second most powerful man, Paul Wolfowitz, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, and they had run of the Pentagon. Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, said to my boss one time, "Hell, I don't run my building. Mossad does."
And remember that the day before the 9/11 attacks, Donald Rumsfeld was reporting, he was on video, that they had lost track of $3.2 trillion. Or was it 2.3? Whatever. It was a whole bunch of money. A big gobsmack of bucks went missing. And I suppose, well, I wonder where that money could have gone. Anyway, the point is that we are on the edge, teetering on the edge of World War III. And I've got to tell you, I am not happy with what Donald Trump is doing. I am not happy at all. It seems like he's backed off of a lot of different issues, and he's bringing to the table, people who obviously have a globalist reference. Larry Ellis from Oracle. Remember about 2 months ago, Trump introduced him to the American public, and he was saying that he has plans for designing a vaccine that it will be tailored to you. That's right. They get a DNA sample and they tailor a vaccine just for you. Yeah, it's just for you. And now they got the Pelletier, Peter Thiel, and he wants to design a total surveillance system here in the United States. This is not what I voted for. I didn't vote for that. Did you vote for this? I didn't vote for that. So what's happened to Donald Trump? What is going on? Is that the real Donald Trump? I don't know. Is it a stand-in? Is it a clone? Is it someone with a mask? Or has he been compromised? Now remember, there are 3 tools that are used by the deep state to get done what they want done. What are those 3 tools?
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Bribery. We can also call that lobbying. Yeah, lobbying. Money. And then the second tool is coercion. And again, I refer to my own personal experience back in the 90s when I was with Joyce and we were fighting desperately to get the Gulf War veterans some help from their exposures to chemicals, biologicals, experimental pills, and vaccines. And we approached one of the senators from Colorado, and Joyce said, "Why aren't you helping these guys? We've got all the documents. We've got the Senate reports. We have the congressional hearings. We have the after-action reports on these guys that were exposed to all this stuff, and why aren't you helping them?" And the response was, "Well, I want to make sure that my 15-year-old daughter has a sweet 16th birthday." So there's your coercion for you. And then the third magic word is blackmail. Well, you just heard, what was it, Colonel Wilkerson, whatever his name was. He was just talking about the Epstein issue. Now, let me remind you that it's been reported, and I can't get confirmation of this, but it's been reported that Iran has over 3 terabytes, of data from the Epstein files, and they're threatening to release them. Can you imagine what the fallout would be if all of that information was released? You want to talk about a threat to national security? That's probably why we're not hearing about it. That's probably why Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have totally flipped on the Epstein issue. He had Dan Bongino last month saying, "Oh, yeah, he killed himself. Yeah, he killed himself. Yeah, Right. And yet Dan Bongino has also said that his main priority, what issue is near and dear to his heart, and he says defense of Israel. Again, is this the United States of America or the United States of Israel? Well, go to Track AIPAC and you can look up your representative, your senators, and see how much money has been thrown into their pockets. And it's not just about money, folks. It's also about blackmail, because many of these representatives, unfortunately, have been involved in some very nefarious activity. And we all know it. We all know it. And that's why I go back to the issue I started today's show off is, do you have a moral compass, and do you ever look at it? Now, they say all can be forgiven, but I got to tell you, when it comes to, I don't even want to say that. Yeah, I'll say it, raping children. When it comes to that, I don't know if you can forgive that. As far as I'm concerned, pedophiles need to face capital punishment. That seed has to be destroyed. I mean, that's my own personal opinion, and I know a lot of people will agree with me. Now, some people say, oh, yeah, well, castration is good, or throw these people in jail forever. Wait a second. How much does it cost to keep a prisoner, a federal prisoner? About $90,000 a year, right? Why should the taxpayers pay to keep people like that alive? I know it sounds awful, and it's not up to me to judge. It's going to be up to God Almighty to do that. And the Bible says it's better that you have a millstone tied around your neck and you be cast into the sea than to hurt one of the little ones. But anyway, we get back to this issue about war. Is war coming? Well, Colonel Douglas McGregor had this to say about it.
The problem is this, and this is most important, Cyrus. If you're President Trump, you sit down with your political advisors, whomever he's talking to these days, probably Lutnick and Witkoff.
Let's stop right there. Lutnick and Witkoff. I wonder who they're serving. Is it the United States flag or the flag of Israel? I think we all know the answer.
Who are both fervent Zionists.
Oh, there it is.
And he says, well, how many senators do I control in a crucial vote in the Senate? And how many senators does Mr. Netanyahu control in a crucial vote in the Senate? Answer, Mr. Netanyahu controls more of the Senate than Donald Trump.
Well,
that's probably also true for the House. That's why Washington is this fantasy island. Everybody who lives there is stuffing their pockets full of cash that they get from various lobbies and kickbacks because of their support for military equipment going all over the world or the commitment of U.S. forces somewhere. Donald Trump doesn't seem to have any control over any of it. What can he do? I don't know if you saw him I think it was yesterday, where he was asked directly about Iran.
Right.
And I've seen him in person up close. And this was a very different Donald Trump. He sat there very sort of stone-faced. Well, what about Iran and the negotiations? What's happening? And he sits there and he says, well, they want to enrich uranium and they can't do that. We can't have that. And they have to give up some other things, meaning theater ballistic missiles and so forth, and they won't do that. So I think I've said it, and it's clear the consequences are very dire. And then he sort of sat there.
Right.
This is not a man who wants to go to war.
Right.
Of course not. He's never wanted to go to war against anybody. But what's he going to do now? He's essentially boxed himself in thanks to his wonderful advisors and his readiness to essentially unconditionally support anything Israel and its agents in this country want. He's stuck. So what's the answer? The answer is we're going to have a war with Iran.
Yeah, unfortunately. And again, I have to bring out those three words: bribery, coercion, and blackmail. Which one applies here? Is it possible? Is it possible that Donald Trump's entire family has been threatened? I mean, what would happen if all of a sudden some nameless, faceless individual whispered in Donald's ear, "We can take out your entire family. We can take out your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews. We can destroy your entire bloodline unless you play ball." Is that possible? Doggone right, it's possible. It certainly isn't impossible. But I will tell you that, there are many, 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 many people now who are waking up and realizing that Israel is using the Jewish religion to hide behind. And again, I point out that there are millions and millions of Jews all over this world that condemn Bibi Netanyahu and his entire regime. How can we even think of them as God's chosen people when they do such ungodly things? And Madame Kasparian from the Young Turks is basically, she's come around and she is on fire. Listen to her.
I can show you videos dating back to 1996 in which Benjamin Netanyahu is testifying before Congress to say that there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. They were lobbying for us to invade Iraq all the way back to 1996.
Yeah, I remember the WMD. Yeah, I remember Colin Powell testifying. Yeah, they've got weapons of mass destruction. And, of course, there was GW. Well, they got weapons of mass destruction, and we got to go get Saddam.
So to the international community, to my fellow Americans, please do not fall for the same lies again. My heart breaks for all the innocent lives that will be lost. My heart breaks for the American soldiers who are going to risk their lives on behalf of this country that is obviously lying to us right now. It is going to be a complete and utter disaster. And if you think that beating Iran or doing regime change in Iran is going to be a cakewalk, consider the fact that it has far greater landmass than Iraq does. 90 million people, far more military capability than Iraq ever had. And we couldn't even defeat the Houthis in Yemen. You think we're going to be able to beat Iran? So many people are going to die. It's going to be a disaster. Don't fall for his lies, please. I'm begging you all to read into it and research it yourself. If you take what the Israelis are saying at face value, you're going to walk into complete death and destruction.
Yep, that's about right. That's about right. And again, I feel badly for the Israelis because, we're talking generations of brainwashing. We're talking generations that have produced.
I can show you videos.
Oh, shut up! Stop it right there. Enough of that. For generations, they've been, brainwashed into hating the Palestinians, and the Muslims, and also the Christians. And for all you Christians out there that believe, we have to support Israel, Christian Zionism, that's insanity. They're completely diametrically opposed to one another. But thanks to the Sheffield Bible and a lot of corrupted pastors and preachers, et cetera, they've convinced their flocks that somehow we have got to support and defend Israel at all costs, despite the fact that Israel does not represent Judaism. It's diametrically opposed. We both have the same, Jews and Christians have the same 10 commandments. So how does that apply to what Netanyahu has been doing to the Muslims, to the Palestinians? And how does that apply? A lot of the Israelis, when they know that the bombs are going to be going off down in Palestine, they get their lawn chairs and go sit on the beach and look to the south and watch the glowing in the sky of these bombs going off, and they tip a beer. And they have observation posts where they bus in high school kids, and they got those coin-operated binoculars that you can look off into the distance and watch the bombs go off. And they think that's entertainment. That is sick. And now all of a sudden they're on the receiving end of missiles being launched at them. And the humanity, they just blew up something. The missiles are going off in Tel Aviv. And they're getting a little taste of what they've been dishing out for decade after decade after decade after decade. 70 years it's been going on in Palestine, and now they're crying because it's happening to them. This is insanity. Just insanity. Anyway, okay, I got off on my high horse there for a couple of seconds. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to change the subject for just a moment here. As I'm scrolling through, I have so many different clips here. Before I do that, I want to stay on topic for just a second, because not only is Tucker Carlson jumping on this bandwagon, but Steve Bannon, who worked closely with Donald Trump in his first administration, they're starting to wake up and smell the gunpowder too. Here's Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon. Listen.
You're not going to convince me that the Iranian people are my enemy. Again, we're going down this here. Here's who you're required to hate. It's Orwell, man. I'm a free man. You're not telling me who I have to hate. I'll decide who I like and don't like on the basis of my values and what I believe my interests are. I don't want to be involved in this at all. And I think most Americans don't. And it's only because
we're inexorably getting drawn into a war.
By a tiny minority of people. You know what I mean? I'm just like, it's all so fake. I'm not playing along. I just don't want my country to be further weakened or destroyed by another one of these wars. And boy, if you can't connect the dots after 25 years of this, you're either too dumb to participate in the conversation, or you're, like Mark Levin, just a liar who doesn't care.
Ooh. Anyway, that was Tucker Carlson being interviewed by Steve Bannon. So they're coming around, folks. People are coming around. And this is all the more reason why things are getting very perilous right now. Because Israel knows it's losing the narrative. It has lost the narrative. There's still a bunch of people out there that just refuse to believe, because of cognitive dissonance, that Israel could possibly be evil. They can't accept that. And anyone who says otherwise, like yours truly, or all of the other folks that are turning around and saying, wait a minute, we can't go along with Israel's mad dog approach to taking over, the entire Middle East because they have a view of greater Israel. Have you seen that map that Netanyahu held up at the UN? Yeah, greater Israel. They want to take out, Lebanon, the entire region. Jordan, it's all theirs as far as they're concerned, and that includes Iraq and Iran. That's what their vision of greater Israel is. And so that means that all of these people who have been totally brainwashed in Israel, that means that the entire mindset would spread throughout the Middle East. Can you imagine what a disaster that would be? And meanwhile, yes, they have taken over this country. Okay, anyway, I'm going to change gears just a little bit, because we've been witnessing to all of these demonstrations, the No Kings demonstrations or protests, or let's call them what they are. They turned into riots. Now, is it no surprise whatsoever that the Democrats, Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, ABC, NBC, CBS, all of the talking heads have been screaming, the liberal media has been screaming the mantra, orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. Everybody, orange man bad, orange man bad. Millions of people, orange man bad, orange man bad. And they are absolutely rabid. No matter what Trump does, that he's the bad guy. Okay, despite the fact that under the Biden administration, they opened up the borders and let tens of millions of illegal immigrants across into the border. And I pointed out yesterday that if they wanted to deport 10 million illegals in 1 year, they would have to deport 300,000+ every single day. It ain't going to happen. And a lot of those immigrants that came into this country are military-age males. And you could bet your bippy that most of them are from hostile countries who hate the as they call it, the great Satan. And you can bet your bippy that they've got plenty of resources. That you could bet your bippy they got a place to go. They got food. They got shelter. They have supplies. They have money. They have instructions. They have briefings. They have missions. And when the word go is given to them, we're going to see that kind of crap hitting the fan here in the United States. I don't see we can avoid it. I just don't. I mean, it's an absolute disaster. And unfortunately, most of the American people, with the attention span of a potato, have been sitting on their butts and distracting themselves with baseball, football, basketball, hockey, movies, rock and roll, whatever, because they just don't want to hear it. And so when the American people, if this is a government of, by, and for the people, when the people get up and vacate the table, as they say, where the cat's away, the rats will play. And that's what's been going on now for several generations. So as far as Los Angeles is concerned, well, they got a real mess on their hands because they conditioned all these people to hate Donald Trump and anything he does, coupled with the idea that California has been basically welcoming all these illegal immigrants, giving them free health care, food, shelter, housing, you name it, they get it all. And so when Trump comes in and says, okay, we got to put a stop to this and get rid of these illegal aliens, of course they're going to protest. Of course they're going to riot. And so what happens? Well, Representative Norma Torres, what she has to say about this, wait till you hear. This is unreal.
I am demanding full accountability and reimbursement for the local costs incurred, including injuries to local officers and the damages caused by the chaos unleashed when the Trump administration recklessly deployed the military and ICE agents into our communities. They are the ones who created this unrest.
No, they're not.
They are the ones that need to foot the bill.
No, they are not the ones. You're the ones. You opened up the door. You let all these illegals in. You gave them money. You gave them housing. You gave them health care. And so now, all these illegals, yeah, they're illegal. And yes, they need to be deported. So those riots started not because of Trump. It's because of you. They say, oh, is this what you voted for? No, it's what you voted for and stood by during the entire duration of the Biden administration. All right, I got a caller here. Who do we have? And we've only got about 2 minutes. Who are you and where are you calling from?
Okay, this is Melissa in Maryland. I'm glad you were willing to take the call. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but you use the term deep state. So tell us who is in the deep state. Define the deep state, please. Do you have a definition for it?
The deep state? Oh gosh, yeah. Who is it? Oh, it's so many people. It's anyone who's working against the United States of America. I mean, just to make a blanket statement, if you're truly America first, then you have to do it and show it with your deeds and not your words. We have too many people out there, MAGA people, saying America first, and yet when you go in and actually question, say, is it America first or is it Israel first? And then they scurry away. A non-answer is sometimes an answer. And I forget who it was. Maybe it was a reporter from the Muckraker Report or from the Stu Peters Network. I forget. But they were in the halls of Congress going up to representatives, congressional representatives, and saying, excuse me, is it America first or Israel first? And they turn and they run away. I mean, that's an answer in itself. If you're America first, you'll stand up proudly, stick your chest out and say, I'm America first. But they don't do that. They run away, or they get hostile. How dare you ask such a question? It's just amazing. So, I mean, to answer your question, who is the deep state? That's a tough one because it's everywhere. It's all around us. And that's what we have to work against. And it's, I think the American people are going to have to rediscover their roots and understand that if it's of, by, and for the people, it's up to the people to defend this Constitution and this country. Because you're sure is not going to get that defense from your elected representatives because they have been bought, paid for, they've been coerced, and they've been blackmailed. They're traitors. And I'm still waiting for the arrests to start happening. I'm sorry I don't have an answer for you, but hopefully that's the answer. So, anyway, we're flat out of time. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, thanks for the call. All right. Oh, my goodness. It goes by so quickly, folks. Okay, well, once again, I humbly and respectfully ask that you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Do business with our sponsors. If you want to help us grow, we have a GoFundMe there, too, because I want to make this into a video podcast, but that all costs money and equipment. So, anyway, that said, tomorrow is hump day. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Are we going to war? Oh, boy. Look out. All right, that said, God bless you all. Stay safe and stay free. And I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you all.